Hey everyone, so in this video I wanted to talk a bit about the FUD, or not FUD, but just the fact that a lot of people seem to find the Maximus products kind of overly complicated, or they just don't look into the products that much because it's like, they have this PTSD slash fatigue of just like there's just too many tokens. And I can relate with that, like 100%. I can relate with that because my story was that when Maxi first came out, I kind of had that, like too many token fatigue type thing, because around that time, like there were just like so many sacrifices. Like there was the pulse chain sacrifice, we got hit with that, and the pulse X1, then all of the other kind of third party sacrifices, then Hedron, and then Maxi, and it's just like, oh my god, like, you know, especially if you're still trying to deeply dig into Hex itself and understand how it works, it's just kind of like, this is an abstraction of an abstraction of an abstraction, and it's like, yeah, I can understand why, right? I was there. A little bit about like how I got into Maxi, just in case it's interesting. Like I actually got interested in Maxi because of the speculative side. Um, so I kind of, when Pulse Chain launched, I saw that there was like a massive discount on Deci, and I was like, wait, this isn't right. Like it should be worth at least one hex, and it was like 0.7. And so I could kind of see that there was a long-term arbitrage there, or like a way to get cheap T-shares and level up fast. And so that was kind of what drew me to Maxi. But then since then, obviously, I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole and learned a bunch more about it, and like how important it is for gas fee savings. Like I no longer think that it's just like, oh, a cool, speculative opportunity. I think it's genuinely, um, like I think it's the only way to stake Hex, like from here on out, like to future proof the health of the system, regardless of what happens with gas fees. It's silly to leave it to chance, what the end stake gas fee will be, and that could be very high. Like even on Pulse Chain, if Pulse Chain is a raging success and we get to levels of usage similar to Ethereum, we could be seeing like end stake fees, comparable to Ethereum. So like, why leave that to chance, especially if you're a smaller player? That was another thing that attracted me to Maxi a lot. It's just like this ethos of like helping the little guy, because you know if you're a larger player, like if you're a squid, dolphin, shark, like it doesn't really matter that much if you have stakes, over, $5,000, $10,000. Like it will still be a large chunk, and it's still rolling the dice. But like you're not going to get nuked like someone who stakes like $100. You could actually just get nuked then. Like there's no logical um, justification for ending the stake when the gas fee is like hundreds of dollars and you staked like $50, $100, or whatever. So yeah, that's a bit about my story there, but I totally get the overcomplicated piece. Like there are a lot of tokens in the Maximus ecosystem, but what I really liked from the founders, like they mentioned this once, is that they have this kind of like overabundance mindset, like more cool ideas that are actually useful are better than less, right? And Maxi isn't just a duct taped on like shitcoin which gets minted when the T-share rate in Hex ratchets up or something like that, right? It actually solves a real problem, and it has product market fit. it saves gas, like 99% of the gas that you would spend solo staking. So that alone is a massive, massive product market fit. And it just takes a bit of understanding to know, and that's why I made Look into Maxi. It just takes a bit of, looking at the numbers to understand if what you're buying is a good deal or not, in terms of MAXI, DESI, and stuff. So, yeah. And then the YouTube channel as well. Like I'm trying to explain not just Maxi, but also like hex concepts, because I'm trying to explain them simply, because I think a lot of new people that are going to be coming to hex, especially in the next bull market, hopefully, they're not going to be able to get hex quickly. Like personally, I'd consider myself like at least slightly above average IQ, right? And when you think about how many people are below average IQ, 50%, it's, wow, okay, like you need to really dumb it down. Like this is what hex does. This is how you earn yield. And so that's what I'm kind of trying to do, like explain it, but very, very simply with analogies. And yeah, because it's an amazing product, right? Like hex took me like a good 3 weeks, I think, of just like listening to bits and bobs of like Richard Hart's streams to really understand the model. And then I've still been learning like bits and pieces over the past 2.5 years. So it's like, it's not an easy system to get, but I think it's really worth getting. And so like, I want to help people understand it. And yeah, in order to understand MAXI, you kind of have to understand hex, right? Like if you don't understand how hex works, then it's just like you're just looking at a screen of numbers, right? And you kind of really need to understand like all the different mechanics if you want to understand it deeply, which is just, yeah. Otherwise, if you don't want to understand it deeply, that's also cool. Just know that there's gas fee savings if you mint. That's also like an option. Like you don't have to understand it super deeply if you don't want to buy on the market, I'd say. Like if you're minting, you're going to get a good deal if you hold until redemption. If you're doing the speculative stuff, then you kind of need to understand a bit more. So that's how I'd kind of think about it. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Some thoughts on, whether it's overcomplicated or not. Like the thing that comes to mind is when like Peter McCormick interviewed Vitalik, and he was like pushing Vitalik on how complex the Ethereum kind of consensus mechanism is or whatever, with these I can't even remember, but it was just like they have these uncle things or whatever they were talking about. And like he was saying like, oh, don't you think it's just like overly complex, like for the sake of being complex? And then Vitalik was just like, dude, are you serious? Like you think we made it we made it complex on purpose? Like this is as simple as we could make it, like and function in the way that we want it to function. So it's just like when people who don't understand something see something complicated, they think that it's complicated for the sake of being complicated, but it's actually solving something really like difficult, like a really difficult problem. So yeah, like that's kind of what I think about when I see kind of hexagons not really get Maximus, So anyway, I'll leave it there and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.